Hey, yo, what's going on, guys? Got episode number 69 of Marvel Yap for you guys today. We're going to be going over the OTA, reviewing it, as well as talking about Weapon H with a special guest today. And then we're going to be talking about Destroy and Discard. How exactly are we going to make a hybrid deck of Destroy Discard? Talking about Wild Child, Phantom X, and Marrow. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, we are joined by the hostess with the mostest, the man who has a Christmas sweater for every single day in December. This time he's got the Minecraft sweater on. How are we doing, Dance?
I'm doing very well. I was cut off from my wife. My wife told me I'm not allowed to get more Minecraft sweaters, or sorry, not Minecraft, Christmas sweaters. Probably Minecraft ones as well.
Minecraft.
But I'm cut off from getting so many Christmas sweaters. I'm cut off. I got to make sure I'm doing less of it. So I think in order to, shrink myself down, shrink the sweater down, let's bring someone else up, someone who, in my personal opinion, is a -1 trick, who's really, only playing that very good pro player, very competitive player who y'all may or may not know from winning the third qualifiers of the Golden Gauntlet, Cougarrr.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's doing well.
I'm excited for this. We have actually, Cougarrr and I have been talking about this for months now. Ever since Weapon H got data mined, I was like, I have to get Cougarrr on the podcast because Cougarr's helped me build so many different Black Knight decks, and we bounced so many different ideas off each other. Not even just Black Knight, but in general, that I was like, we got to get the deck building together here today.
Oh yeah, I think maybe the day he got data mined, I got a DM from Tucker. Like, oh my god, did you see this card? It's gonna be crazy.
It's fun. It is a very fun card. I'm stoked to be able to talk about some Weapon H stuff. Weapon H could be a blast.
Yeah, just big dumb power, pretty much. And I think we got a lot of cool things to talk about today as well. We had a really solid OTA, one of the better OTAs I think we've had in a hot minute. We're also going to be talking about Weapon H, and then we're getting Cougarr's insight on some of these Destroy, Discard hybrid decks that we will be probably starting to get not this week, but next week with the addition of Wild Child, Marrow, and later on Phantom X.
Yeah, those are it's going to be interesting how those decks actually work, and hopefully we can get a little bit of insight, maybe try to theory craft deck build some stuff that'll work over there. But
yeah, with these cards, there's like a lot of new questions being asked, which is interesting. Like Weapon H, we'll get into it, but he doesn't strictly fit into a Black Knight style deck or a full discard style deck. And then same with these discard destroy cards, they're kind of paving their own way. So we're entering some interesting times as far as deck building goes.
Oh, for sure. Which is really cool because after the changes we've had to the OTA, we had, of course, Elsa Bloodstone went from a 3/4 to a 3/5, which is just absolutely massive for the card, right?
It is. I've played her a little bit. I have not Elsa'd in a long time, and still she felt a little bit middling. I think it has to do more with that package's metagame positioning than anything, and also now it's competing with the zombies where before it didn't really have anything else in its niche.
I think there's a chance it gets potentially better when we talk about, I think, some cards next month. We were talking a little bit before we actually started, but Xiao Lao and, at least according to data mines and Lockheed and stuff, I feel like there's a way you could maybe work some stuff into there, but we'll wait into it and see how it goes. But I think this is a nothing burger, mostly of a point.
I wonder with Xiao Lao season, if I have it on this in a minute, I don't know if I know, Dance, you're kind of a little bit of an avid enjoyer. Some Shuri Kitty shenanigans could come back with, I think, also one of the new skills discounts 5 costs or higher. So it could help you with that Taskmaster line with Shuri Kitty that we used to have ages ago, right?
Yeah,
that could be cool. There's also the Shang-Chi where you could play it down and buff up whatever cards you play in that Elsa lane.
That is very true, because that's also going to be a potential token on the board that works just really well into that. But I bet even Prodigy, that season. We're getting ahead of ourselves there, but there's a lot of really cool stuff you could be doing there. Just like we also had, if everything is playing correctly, sorry, we had Helicarrier, yes! Helicarrier got changed to a 612. We love that, right?
So you know how often you're playing this card.
That's what I was about to say. Yep.
The problem isn't the power. It's not anything like that. I mean, so I looked it up. We talked about, I think, Helicarrier a very long time ago in the Yap, and I said you bring the cards back, but then you just give them -1 cost instead. And I said during that time, don't give power to it because you aren't playing it. There's no point in playing it. The point of the card is to get rid of it. And then they gave power to it.
I think the only way this power change can be impactful is if they end up, I've been wanting this for a long time, if they end up making Helicarrier work with Black Knight, where the shard gets added first, then your hand fills with random cards. That would be very synergistic. You get a buffed blade, you get to Ghost Rider it back, you get extra Quinjet synergy, but that's in La La Land. That's not how things work.
Yeah.
It doesn't even work that way. Its ability goes before Black Knight.
Yep. It'll fill up your hand before a shard is added.
Yeah, there's no point in playing this card. This card is useless. Got it. Okay, cool.
It's not maybe Black Knight useless. Not totally useless in general. It's literally Airshim at home, but you know. The best usage of Helicarrier that I remember is back ages ago, where I remember Jimmy was playing Helicarrier Loki, and that was old Loki, and that was some crazy stuff there. But that was ages ago.
Yeah, or like what Butt's doing now, where he's just maximal discards V hand for created cards and Quinjet. Like, there's uses for it, but those uses that you see are not for the power. It's for the ability it has.
Yeah. I don't know. It feels like if you want this card to be good, give it a better ability at some point. But
12 power is all it needs. And then Dormammu. Dormammu got an extra point of power. Went from a 712 to a 713. The issue with Dormammu is not his base power. Like, that's genuinely not the issue with Dormammu. It's just some of the clunkiness of the skills, and then it's fairly predictable, I feel like, in a lot of situations, opposed to just the raw base power itself.
I think this has been probably the most impactful one we've looked at so far. But I think that could just be because people are now actually playing the card who's not as bad as like his play rate was suggesting before.
Yes.
I don't think this changed the card in the slightest, truly. I just think that I liked playing Dormammu before. I still like playing Dormammu after. I don't think it did anything actually impactful in all of that stuff. I think it's just like, okay, cool, yeah. I have this. It's an extra point of power. I'm not going to complain. I was already using the card. It just doesn't, I don't think this is a meaningful change. Other than I just get to enjoy it more and feel less bad about it. I don't know. Maybe that is meaningful then.
It's a good polymorph target, you know, for your Merlin. You have more a better high roll now.
Yeah, and then you have Airshim and Zombie Galacti as two others, you know.
Yeah, and then you'll have Weapon H.
True. You have Weapon H, and then next month Data Mines, Fin Fang
and
Foom,
Scar.
You'll have that.
Oh yeah.
Scar's the good one, but honestly, because of the fluctuation, every single time if I can, I always just play I'll play 2 polymorphs instead because I'll just guarantee 12 power because then I get stuck with either a 7 power or 5 power card, and I'd rather have something impactful.
Oh, fair enough. Then we had the Morgan Le Fay change, which is a pretty huge change from her going to a 4/7 to a 3/4. Those few far in between people that were playing a lot of Airwalker. You got to pour one out for Airwalker into Morgan Le Fay now. Of course, you still have Firelord to be able to mess around with stuff there. But this is definitely one of those like quality of life changes they're, I think, doing for some of these later cards this season to get value and to get some there's some cool interactions that you can do better now with her being at a 3 cost instead of a 4 cost.
Yeah, I think it does open up some new cool lines, being able to play 2+ Morgan on 5. But an interesting change is now these decks aren't as good of Airwalker decks, which was really good before because you could only run Morgan and tutor to where every game you have her, and she's the engine that makes your deck go. So I don't play very much of this style of list. I can't really comment on if it's overall been a buff or kind of a side grade? I'm not too sure.
I think it's a. I mean, I think it's definitely a side grade. I think for this one, I think it's a side grade that also just, in my opinion, nerfed Airwalker. Simply put, which that's the part that I feel like is the worst of it. Like that Airwalker is just so just not good right now because of it. That's just what sucks. My personal opinion. Like I love the change though. I think it's a good one. I was less initially, but I think it's better mainly because I don't remember which of y'all said it, but on turn 5 being able to go for a 2-cost and Morgan. With Dormammu, I've been playing where you can go turn 2 or turn 5. You play the last of Dormammu's skills, his summoning ritual, and Morgan to get a bunch of cards for the final turn.
Yeah, that's like pretty cool. Like if you've destroyed like a bunch of stuff and everything going into that, I think it's some really cool value. And then now we get to start getting into some of these a little bit better changes, I do believe, because we do have Swordmaster going from a 3/6 to a 3/7. Woo!
You think this is a better change than the Morgan Le Fay one?
No, this is the copium change. I just was trying to insinuate that I thought this was a better change, but it's a Weapon H coming out.
Your Honor, my client said you were going into better changes
Yes.
and then showed Swordmaster.
Yes, I had to hype it up. You know,
Okay, my bad.
C7.
I thought about the use for Weapon H, and then I'm like, well, wait a minute. Your other discards are Blade, are Lady Sith. I'm like, they're all odd costs.
Yep.
That kind of conflicts a little bit. So yeah, I think
Just a
it's-
minor bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too sold on this one. The only time I've ever really played this card was this deck isn't even super great, but Jet's Phoenix Force discard deck. It's really fun, but probably not the best thing to be doing.
Those are the best games to play, best cards to use. Yes.
That's true.
I liked it. I liked it though in the when it was 6 with Firelord. I did enjoy playing the deck that would use this, and it was like I think maybe it was a Gambit or something else. I don't remember, but it would use that and first Ghost Rider and make it so you could always bring back either Cerebro or Luke Cage.
Yep.
So with Firelord, which was a lot of fun. I did like that. I don't think it's good, but it was a lot of fun.
Guaranteed value every single time. Just like
Oh God.
the best change, or maybe second best change in the OTA was Human Torch going from a 3/3 to a 3/2, which does not completely nuke this card, right? This card's still playable, but it definitely does dampen its power output quite a lot.
I think it's the best change probably, and that's saying a lot because I like the one we're going to get into a lot as well. But it's been so refreshing after months and months of playing at top infinite, seeing move all the time, and it was so powerful being able to run the tech cards of Cosmo and Juggernaut to protect itself, keep this Human Torch away from being interacted with. So I think it's long overdue. But it is funny to look at the card now and be like, it's a 3/2. It used to be a 1/2. Like it ate a 2 energy nerf, and it's still really good.
I feel like it was forever ago when they talked about making the Human Torch and Vulture change. And they said they did it because they wanted to be able to make more movement tools. That's what they said at the time. And I think one of the sentiments, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, I like this point, was that it was like, okay, they want to do it because they're making a brand new card. At the time, it was Sparky, and they want Sparky to be good with it. It was the logic. And in my personal opinion, it's held true to now, is they didn't want to do it because they wanted to release Sparky. It's because they wanted to make more cards like Sparky. They wanted to be able to release a Web Sling. They wanted to be able to release even just like Prowler's, other skills. They wanted to be able to release all these types of cards and not feel like they were destroying the metagame entirely. And I like that. It's taken a bit to land there, and I think they're getting closer. But I liked that logic, and I'm glad that we're getting into a better place with it.
Yeah, I think I like that too. And I think the nerf to Torch kind of also decreases Mercury's play hopefully a little bit too, which kind of opens up that door even more, I think, for some of those mid-range kind of move decks, which I think are also running Mercury. But just in general, I think I like that as a good also plus of like the domino effect of Torch.
Yeah, you can't say Domino. That's another card here.
It's not this card. Next card we do have is going to be a War Machine. War Machine went from a 4/6 to a 5/9, and we have fully entered into the ramp meta. We already were kind of in the ramp meta, but the 5-cost War Machine is just so much better of a feels good into that Electro ramp style, because I think Husky talked about it perfectly on the Snapchat today. He literally said like what I had been thinking for like weeks and weeks. Like, of course, Electro into War Machine is something you could do anyways, right? But you're not maximizing having that 5 energy. And now you also have that 5 energy after that Electro, and you have 3 additional power. So it doesn't feel like you're wasting anything going into that next turn. And plus, this really helped Chamber's value really increase, I think, dramatically as well. As Smiles, made that awesome new Chamber deck that I'm seeing everyone and their mother playing right now. It just feels like it's more fair. It's not just I'm playing the cringe Legion scam shenanigans. I'm playing a big deck, which Shang-Chi only destroys 1 card now, so you can't destroy every single one of these cards. But it is like I can still play the game and have an out to potentially win this. I don't have to have War Machine in my own deck to be able to actually play past turn 5.
Yeah, just to repackage what Tucker said, I think this change gets rid of War Machine's most hated and cringe interactions with Storm and Legion, and it buffs it in every other sense with what you want to be doing with this card. This change is a home run, and I'm just in love with it. I've been playing. I'm everyone and their mother. I'm included in that group. I've been playing the hell out of this ramp deck. It's awesome. So nothing but props to SD from me with this change.
Nah, this is great. I mean, this is the good part of what Second Inner does, where it's just they take something that existed before and they give it a brand new type of role. And it's similar to when they buffed up Enchantress, made her a lot better by just giving her an extra point of a extra point of power, and then also the extra energy. Similar thing here. Both of them feel really great. It's a lot more fun of a time, a lot more fun of a deck, because rather than using this card to stop your opponent, you're using it to let yourself do more things, which I love. And Electro, 100%. Right? They said it before. We are going to keep adding power to Electro until morale improves, was the logic. And this is the thing, right? Changes like this with Enchantress, with Blink, all these cards that are like, all right, cool. We allow you to. This is something you can play on rate immediately following Electro, and then not feel bad that you're wasting energy, which you previously had to do with War Machine. So I love it.
And with Misery too. Husky's playing Misery in his old ramp decks. That's also clunky on the curve.
Yep. Yeah. And I think the Electro shout is such a good idea too, because it's like, I think another thing that goes with Electro isn't just War Machine. I do think the addition of Chamber gives that Electro even more value for this style of play. Because there was, Sandman ramp and stuff and everything too, which Chamber would have been good with old Sandman ongoing ramp kind of stuff. It is just something cool just to note in general. Not saying I want old Sandman back necessarily. Sometimes I do, but not all the time. But no, I think Cougarrr said, just they hit this out of the park. Complete home run. And then they completely reworked Spider-Man Noir. Spider-Man Noir went from a 4/6 to a 4/4, and now has the ability, of course you have the original ability, still of course, set the top card of your deck's power to 8, which that is the new thing. And now in general, the top card in your deck is going to be set to 8 power. And then if, additionally, additional text here, if your other cards in play cost exactly at total, then you add it here, which was already what functionality it did prior to this rework, but now you don't have to guarantee you have 8 cost total on the board for your top card to have 8 power. You just have the benefit, if you do have it on the board, it does get placed right beside or behind Noir, which I think this is another great quality of life change.
I think back-to-back home runs for me, this card is infinitely better just having that floor increased. And then I think also notable about it is while that power nerf does seem to be big, it's 2 power. A lot of the times, not in all Nord decks, but a fair amount of them are Pixie, Agent Venom decks, and those set it to 3. So in those decks, it's a lot less feels bad when he does get set to that 3 power, only a -1 instead of a -3.
Yeah, and that's where I enjoyed it the most, being able to use it inside of those small ball styles of stuff. And this change made it feel a lot better, a lot easier to use, because then I wasn't taking as big of a hit for it. And I mean, the thing I felt like I was doing most with this card was just saying, all right, if I can do it, cool. If I can't, then I'm just not playing the card, basically. And that was it. Like, it's just very often it wasn't something I was trying to build toward. It was just more like it's a bonus. Oftentimes, maybe I'd be saving a card a turn or something like that. But otherwise, it was just not something I was sweating as much. But now that they've did this awesome rework, they did this really cool change where you always get this benefit. It doesn't hurt as much for the Bast and stuff. It just felt like a really good change. Glenn even, I'm going to say point out what he said, which originally the card, they saw the quest, which is what they called it, for players was too hard to be able to achieve it in order to even enjoy it. Not of course it was obviously weak. And this was the thing that made the most, and they were trying to make it so that it averaged out in terms of how much power it was doing, which I really like. And they said that this is a similar thing that they're going to look at with all other like quest style cards moving forward. So kind of similar to what we're talking about with Dormammu. We're talking about obviously recently with obviously Zombie Galacti, stuff like that, where these quest cards, they're making it so that at least they still feel beneficial. They still feel like they are doing well, and the juice is worth the squeeze, which I think is the thing I've said more often, I think, recently, because Noir just didn't give me any squeezable juice.
Yeah, and to rehash a little bit on what Dan said, I fully agree. This guy, it's not the end of the world if you're not getting the Jubilee effect put on. You could play him out as a 4/4. Like, don't go playing only a 1-drop on turn 3 when you have, I don't know, I can't think of an Esme in hand or something like that. Don't do that. Just play normally on curve, and if it happens to line up where you go 1 energy off curve or whatnot, then make it happen.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. Especially going into next week with like Maverick and stuff. I think this is just a really good addition, especially to like that style of Surfer, which I think a lot of people are going to be playing as well. Because prior to this change, you play this on the board and you weren't getting the interaction done. It's literally like playing a 4-cost activate on turn 6. You're literally just playing base power on the board without any benefit. So this is really good, I think, for the 4 slot in general too. I'm hoping they continue to do some of these like quality of life changes to 4 costs and to 5 costs, because that is something later in the game you're really setting up for combos in general. So if they can kind of keep doing some sort of like rule of thumb like that too, so then more cards maybe feel like feasible to play in that slot, instead of like Cougarrr saying too, like I really have to dedicate my entire game plan to this, and if it whiffs, I'm kind of screwed in a sense. So I think this is just great in general, because that 4/4 right now can essentially be a 4/12, potentially even better, depending on what that hits even as your top card.
Yeah. And I think the other thing also I was going to say is, and I forgot earlier because I keep forgetting, when they're talking about these cards that they say they want to, they want to make sure that they are better. I love one of the things they had said, if you go back all the way to War Machine, in which they said that War Machine was a card that obviously was very frustrating with Storm. We all understood that. We knew that. And they compared it to Spider-Man of old, in which Spider-Man was like a 4/5 that stopped your opponent from playing cards their next turn. And they changed it. They gave it a big rework. And they said that Storm's a card they actually want to look at to do something similar. Because that's cool. And I love that. And they said they might look at a change to War Machine alongside it. I'm be honest, I hope they don't. I just think this is a better version of War Machine, for one. And for two, I would love if that was something they did to Storm. I've enjoyed what she has done currently, but she is definitely someone in which if they gave a full rework, which by the way, she didn't get a point of power back in this OTA, which I was kind of sad about. But
we'll see too.
She is one as well where I was like, yeah, I feel like make the cool characters more fun. Make them more interesting rather than, making their ability super frustrating and not beneficial. I'm looking at you, Professor X and Jean Grey. Like, these really cool characters, do cool stuff, please.
Yeah. Which Team Clash, hopefully. I think some of these cards, get some like new abilities and stuff in Team Clash. I'm wondering if they can incorporate some of those Team Clash abilities into maybe some of these cards that aren't performing as well. And then another shout out to the Snapchat again. Someone on the mailbag for the Snapchat was like, what if Storm's rework was that Storm had skills kind of like the Prowler, and they were all weather-oriented skills as her change instead of a location change for Storm?
What series is she? That answers my question.
I mean, it would still be Storm Series 3, right? Or she doesn't.
She's series.
Yeah, she's like a Series 2, Series 3 card. She's not like a Series 4, Series 5. So
she's series.
So it's tough there, right?
She's Series 2. I don't think they do it. I wish, but I don't think they would.
That is tough. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a proposed rework for her, but I'm definitely on the more rework side than give it a buff. Because like Tuck said, if you give it a point of power back, it's just going back into frustrating decks. It's going back into C2. And before this War Machine change, it was in the lockout combos, and it was like every time you see it, you're just Storm. But I think like my dance was saying, you don't want that to be people's reaction. You want it to be like, oh my gosh, Storm, this is a cool card. I want to build a deck with it.
End of turn, change the weather of this location, whatever. And then
If you're winning.
do it for if you're winning, sure. If you're winning this location, change the weather here. You like maybe you leave flooded as a location, but then you have a bunch of other ones, which it's like, I don't know, give us a storm, give us a very cold one, a very hot one. Just do the other options.
What if you're losing this location, it turns into flooding? If you're winning, it like turns into ruins or something like.
Oh, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind. I think the location changing is very good, and I personally have enjoyed it. But I don't know. I love this stuff. I think it's a great OTA. I think the last two OTAs felt like Second Dinner was out of town because they were out of town for the first one, I think. And then the second one, they had just gotten back. And it also felt like, yeah, cool. We just had this kind of burning in the background and we were just going to plan on push this no matter what. This really felt like they had a very good pulse on the metagame, very much ready for what's going on. And I liked it. I think it was solid.
Yeah, this is, if they could do this every OTA, I could not be any happier. Like the last two were nothing burgers. I think I sent that GIF into Roarm's Discord as my reaction to it. But this one, really nothing but good to say.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, I think if we generally have a meta shaping OTA, which like it doesn't have to be a meta breaking OTA every single OTA, because then the meta flips every single 2 weeks and like we don't have like consistency there. But like if we have at least a few, instead of just minute changes, actually some like prominent changes, I think that would be really beneficial, I think, going forward for that. And as we also progress here and we go forward to our next topic over here, we are going to go ahead and start talking about good old Weapon H, which Weapon H is going to be pretty interesting as we have the wrong one on screen as we do scroll through all the stuff we've going on. We got Weapon H, the brand new Series 5 card coming to Snap Packs today at the time of posting this video, December 9th, which is a 7-cost, 14-powered card with the ability, when discarded, put it back with -2 cost. What are your initial thoughts on this, Cougarrr?
So I touched on it a bit at the beginning, but I think it's a strong card that's kind of searching for a home right now. It doesn't necessarily go in Hela because it doesn't enter the discard pile. It doesn't necessarily go into the discard deck. They already have 2 big 6-drops they want, so it'd have to, make an offshoot or supplant one of them. And it doesn't necessarily go into Black Knight either. You can't Ghost Rider it. So it's in a very interesting spot, and I think it has, out of the 3 I mentioned, the least potential in Hela. Yeah. But I'm excited to see what shakeup it can make in the other 2.
Dance?
Yeah, I think Hela's not going to be a place where you really want to run this. It doesn't really feel like it's going to make much sense. But I do think it's going to be... So one of the places I just really want to put this in and try it out is because I really enjoyed that zombie Power Man zombie or Colonel America deck, and Swarm always felt like it was a bit extra, like I didn't love it as much. So I love the idea of being able to try to use this instead of that type of slot and trying to put it in there. But it's also a card that I think there's gonna be a lot of depth, a lot of interesting stuff to do with, because even if I'm trying to slot it into a discard deck, I don't think it's just like a quick and easy put sub in and replace. It's you still have to change what you're trying to do around it. And Swordmaster was nodded to in the OTA notes as a potential change, like what they wanted to do with it as well. But
yeah, I mean, I'm of course gonna be testing it in Black Knight. I think, of course, the Sarah deck is something, of course, initially I'm like, I think this is going to work well in, but I think playing kind of a hybrid version of the Sarah deck with the Golden Gauntlet deck I played, mixed with the Eson combination that Roram also added to the Black Knight list last season, is kind of where my head's actually at with this. Something like a Iron Patriot, Redshift, Valentina. So I have 3 different generated cards for Isan value. Of course, Ebony Blade on Weapon H is something I'm thinking about as well. And I do have Swordmaster in my list. When we do bring my list up, I do have that. But I think I'll probably make a swap for that after, we break down what we have going on, which, since we're already talking about these lists, Cougarrr actually made a really, really cool list that I want you guys to take a look at. Because when I first saw this, I was like, wait, that's actually like really, really sick.
And while this is on your screen, I'll say before Cougarrr jumps into this is I know one of the things that's really good about this is that obviously Tuck has talked to Cougarrr about a lot of this stuff and trying to make sure that like Cougarrr is part of the reason why he was brought on today was because Tuck does so much, like especially Black Knight discard cooking with Cougarrr. And so, I mean, with that in mind, Cougarr's obviously a great deck builder, great individual in that. So y'all should be going over and checking out their Twitch. They've got amazing content. They'll be streaming over there. They're very good at the game, amazing at what they're doing, and you're gonna enjoy what they're doing. Help them make it into the Marvel Snap Creator Program. We want to be able to talk about things that we have NDAs and can't say to them. So help Cougarrr out by going over to his Twitch, which will be down below in the description, and give him all support. Loves with the follows and such. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I just hit the follow button myself, so y'all should do it as well.
I appreciate that shout out a lot. I do stream on there, although I haven't been live as much as I'd like to. I do have a pretty busy life, so I'm currently finishing up finals, but I'm gonna be on a nice 1-month break, so you can expect to find me live
Every
a lot
day.
there coming up after this Wednesday. I wouldn't say every day, but I'll be a fair amount. I'll be.
Sorry, he said he's going to be live every single day next week. Is that what you heard, Tuck?
Yes,
is that what you heard?
That's what I heard.
Okay, cool. Me too.
And he'll post those also on Twitter. His Twitter will also be down in the description below.
I will. I was about to mention that. When I'm not live, I do try to.
Don't worry.
there.
We shouty other people out here. You don't need to shout yourself out. We got you.
Thank you guys. But yeah, this going into this deck, I knew ahead of time that Tuck was going to be bringing a bit more of a Black Knight deck, and that Dance was going to be taking more of a traditional discard take. So I was trying to think of something. What's a third use that Weapon H can fit into? And I thought about Lady Sif Misery Firelord to be able to discard Weapon H, Misery it, get a second discard, Firelord the Lady Sif back, and get a third discard, leaving you with a 1-cost Weapon H. So I kind of built this list around that idea. I have the Hood as well to synergize with the Misery package, and then with all these on reveals, I added the Werewolf by Night package in there. So Nico, Hawkeye, Merlin, Werewolf himself. And I don't know how this will play out, when you actually go to get in games and get reps in, but in theory, if you can get a big werewolf and a 114, this team's pretty strong while you're playing big bodies on the board the whole game. I'm interested to see how it feels when reset comes.
Yeah, I mean, imagine a final turn where it's like you get to go. You've maybe played your other demon out. You've played Misery earlier as well. You throw a 1-cost Weapon H, 1-cost demon, and Firelord to bring something else back. It feels like there's a lot of cool lines here.
Yeah, and I think what's really cool to note as well is Sif is practically a guaranteed double hit onto Weapon H, since Weapon H is the biggest card from the first initial Sif, and then the second Sif, he's still at 5 costs, so Sif is guaranteed to hit him, bearing no Iceman or Icebox hits on your Misery or Firelord. You're pretty much every single time guaranteed to get Weapon H to at least a 3-cost while you play Sif in either the Firelord, Grandmaster, Misery kind of line, which is really cool.
Yeah, and I would like to add, I did this in a pretty short amount of time. Normally, Shadow King is a really good tech card in these types of shells, so I would not be surprised at all if, instead of Grandmaster or something like that, Shadow King actually is better and improves this deck, being able to go Shadow King, Weapon H, or Shadow King, Weapon H if you get the high roll Demon. So
yeah,
I think maybe Shadow King over top of Grandmaster now that I'm seeing it for a second time. But either way, I think the premise that this is putting forth is unique, and I'm excited to test it.
Oh yeah, and then Dance has a more classic style of discard that he's gonna be messing with called "Get Out of My Hand."
Listen, I don't want it in my hand anymore. It's very simple. It's you say classic. I've removed entirely Apocalypse here, and there's a real chance that Apocalypse needs to go back in the list. But I still like what this list can do and what it's gonna and what it tries to build toward. I think that it's good discard. I think, and I love what Zombie Power Man and Colonel America did for the deck. And I think Weapon H feels like, especially with Zombie Power Man, like it really much has a good amount of synergy just between those two. The question I really have is, obviously, is everything correct in this list? Like, I'm really uncertain if I wanted to put Apocalypse back in here.
I'm wondering where the Khonshu is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Khonshu was another part that I also was. I'm there's
Khonshu
a bit
over
of
Proxima.
that.
I
like
think
the
over
Proxima still, but it could-
Dracula without Apocalypse.
that's
is
probably a
my
good shout.
input.
That would probably be the shout, actually, if anything. Also, I still feel like Khonshu is difficult to be able to use in an effective manner, which feels like kind of similar to one
You
of
have
those.
so many cards to
tough-
discard. Like you have so many different ways to, whether it's Power
That's
Man,
fair.
Redshift, Blade, Corvus, Gambit, MODOK. You have a bunch of different enablers to.
You were
get
talking
Yeah, it
about it a
doesn't
bit, Tuck,
matter.
where you said Khonshu should get a point of power, and at the time, his deck was number one. I actually think or deck with him was like in top in terms of player according to public stats. I actually think he's one that could be looked at, I think, for another buff, legitimately.
Maybe base. Maybe base goes to
I
like a
think-
6/6, but like if he goes like 6/6, 6/9, 6/13, I think that's where it kind of gets like crazy. But I think they'll look
just
at
think
it
it's-
after this week probably with Weapon H to kind of
I think it's
gauge
the
that
second one
process.
goes to 8, because then each tier gets 3. Or would it be?
You mean the second
is
one
it
goes to
currently 8,
9?
or is it?
It's currently 8.
Is it 9?
No, it's 5,
some reason-
8, 12.
Okay, then I say he goes. I think he should go 6, 9, 12. Speaking of 6, 9, we are on episode number 69. Very nice episode number for us.
Very nice.
But
No,
I
I
think it would 6, 9, 12. I think is what it should go to. But
I think if you put Khonshu in this list and specifically, he's just really strong. You discard like literally any card with him, and he's gonna be 12 power. You have the discards to get it. So even if you hit like, I don't know, a Redshift that you revive, you're playing a 6/24. I mean, God forbid you hit a Morbius who keeps the scaling, or a Colonel America. Like those are really strong. Or Gambit. Like there's a lot of strong hits to reveal at the end of the game too. So I really like him in this style of maximal discard.
Yes.
I like that. That would probably be what I'll mess with, honestly.
Which, you know what? Maybe that's what we build here, because we are going to build a deck after we have gone over all of our decks. And I think let's try and build a classic style-ish or Khonshu style discard deck altogether. Which I, of course, have
Talk about yours.
Black Knight Copium over here. So I have card generation with Iron Patriot, Redshift, Valentina. And then one of my main reasonings for Swordmaster, of course, is for Weapon H, but also to solidify potentially that Iron Patriot lane with Swordmaster. But more than likely, the cut is Swordmaster for Quinjet, and then we pretty much just go from there. And I think we have card generation, which is great. Black Knight, of course, consistency-wise, you're always wanting to hit one of your bigger cards. But having some of this card generation for unknowns, I think, is really helpful. And then I have Redshift in here. I haven't run Redshift and Black Knight in a minute. I think, Cougarrr, you were running. Were you running Redshift? I think in your version this season with the ESON stuff, or
No, I was not. I was running
No.
Invisible Woman.
That's what it was.
And Valentina. I think those are the only two drops.
yeah. Of course, Shadow King I've been running in this kind of list as well. We might put Shadow King back in this just because Shadow King and Black Knight is something people do not expect, because Shadow King nukes the Ebony Blade. It is just such a great surprise factor. But I think maybe with a card generation, that's the other version of Black Knight I'm playing. I like this because there's just unknowns. Your opponent doesn't know what exactly you've gotten from at least 3 to 4 of these cards. And then Eson, of course, giving you value from any of these traded cards is nice too.
Yeah, I think for what it's worth, I think Swordmaster would probably be.
Yeah.
It would probably be Quinjet. I do like the idea, even though it's not. It would probably not be correct. I would have liked the idea of being able to use. Actually, Shadow King, yes, also. Would have liked to be able to use Corvus here, especially with the Ghost Rider.
I hate Corvus with Black Knight. Like, actually, like I genuinely, I can't play Corvus with.
So what you're saying is
Well,
you just need to
Black
get
Knight.
luckier.
Yes, I have to get luckier.
Okay.
There's just irks every part of my being to play Corvus in Black Knight because it feels bad for me.
I think the only
That's
time
fair.
I've enjoyed that is playing a Black Knight Corvus Danish style hella, like
Yeah.
Black Knight in the flex slot. That's like the only time it hasn't felt bad. But I stand more with Tucker here because you already know it's going to hit your blade or whatever the heck in hand. You're gonna
It
get
would never.
repower, ebony blade in hand.
I've trained my Corvus so well. He knows what he needs to do. But I mean, listen, we're already talking about what we want to use inside the decks, and Tuck already said it. We're gonna try to build a weapon H deck as well. Probably gonna be maybe closer to classic discard. I don't know. We'll kind of talk about it and see what other places we think it can go.
Yes,
but
and I got a pun for you guys too. Guest mentioned this on my buy or bust. We are building this deck to help you guys really understand if you guys should get discard, meaning if you guys should get weapon H. And that is a dance pun for you guys.
That's unfortunate. I gotta go. That was it. That was the line. You crossed it. It's crazy.
I think it would have crossed the line, but then he kind of brought it back when he explained the pun.
Yeah, I love it when people explain puns. It does make it so much better when someone explains puns. It is. That's the icing on the cake for me every single time. But I mean, all right, weapon H. That's fair. Obviously, the main card. Do we want to say that Swordmaster is even in this deck?
No.
No, sadly. I wish it was
say
good.
I mean, if you're going Conchu, then you want Morbius in here then, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you want the
Especially if we said
Power
classic.
Man in America?
We're doing all the zombies. I'm
That
down.
combo.
Listen, I'm just gonna keep recommending the cards that I already said inside of the deck that I said.
Yeah, I think I'm on a similar page. I think maybe 2 or 3 cards off what Dance had, roughly.
Does MODOK still go in the deck? If so, do we want something else to like be able to fit in there?
Oh yeah, MODOK Corvus.
Yeah.
MODOK
I feel
Corvus.
like
Okay.
those two.
Do we put Scorn in here?
Probably.
Just for continual scaling and stuff?
Yeah, and I don't know. That could be an interesting talk because, like, normally in this deck, her role is to be a 6+1 card,
Right.
as well as scaling throughout the whole game. But the Weapon H might be your one.
That's true.
Depending on
Weapon
how-
H might be a 114 instead of the 1-8, you know? Like,
Yeah, it depends on how this will shake out. But I think this might be.
Is it
might be
Meek?
Weapon H's best
does
deck.
Meek go back in, though? Because you're discarding so
think-
much? Or
I don't think it'd be both. I think you do Meek or Scorn. I don't think you need both, do you?
No.
you're
I'm saying
quiet.
like one or the other. That's what I'm saying.
Got it.
I think you're discarding enough to potentially have Meek in here.
I think
I
yeah,
you need
I think I
other
agree.
enablers.
Well, I
Or,
mean,
like other good targets. Sorry.
Still bringing back a Meek with like even a Conchu, like that's still like just unprecedented power because that does
Could
go
it
in
be
your discard
Sif
pile.
in here?
Yeah, Sif will be in here.
Sif, good call. I think a lot of this decks, the style decks floor is accessed by like say you discard a MODOK, being able to revive that with Conchu on the final turn, and then discard your whole hand again when your Meek's down, your Morbius is down. It's really strong.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Of course, we have Gambit in here because Gambit just is value.
yeah, Gambit's the only
And-
tech card it can run.
Grandmaster?
I
What
still
about
like it
Grandmaster?
because it's a. I think you're moving cards out of your zombie Power Man lane then, or are you moving them into it?
It also could be just for like another additional proc, you know, kind of thing, maybe.
I think you would want an extra.
Because like
Target in here?
crazy, right? Crazy play. Okay, let's say you've discarded a bunch of cards. Maybe you top deck. Maybe you top deck your Grandmaster. You could go Grandmaster and Weapon H potentially on final turn. And you could do another potential Conchu, or you can do another potential discard. That's probably more copium and like
interesting.
greedy, but it's something you can potentially do. Also, something really good about Corvus here is you'll have enough energy to be able to just play base Weapon H, even if you don't get any discards on Weapon H. But
Yeah, I think I'm looking at the cards with the text discard on them right now. I think Grandmaster's a good shout. I think Proxima Midnight's
He
a
definitely
good
does-
shout.
I mean,
Scorn,
Tug was
we talked
against
about her
that
before.
earlier. I feel like
He was against the Proxima.
I was more
He wasn't
anti-Proxima because I was leaning more towards Drac. But I could see the argument with no Drac going Proxima, because Proxima helps you with your hand thinning too. I'm just also, trying to think of, like, I don't know, board space maybe. But
You know what? Honestly, I kind of feel like I don't want Meek in here as much. I feel like I like the Scorn more. I don't know.
Scorn will
like
be
the Scorn
consistently
better.
just good hits. It just doesn't go in your
Because you
discard
just want
pile.
more hits, especially in terms of also putting points on a zombie power man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do think we want. Yeah,
I'm here for it.
If we're not doing Scorn now, then our last card has to be something we can discard profitably.
Yeah, because I feel like if you do this, then you have another good target, and then even just like a general good discard target would be a good final hit potentially.
I don't think we're not doing swarms.
No, I don't think so.
No. What other discarders?
We're not doing Apocalypse. Are we doing Apocalypse without Dracula?
No.
This is weird. I don't know what I would.
It's
say
either
for this
Proxima,
slot.
Grandmaster, or it is putting Meek back in here.
That's
Oh my!
where I'm
I know
at,
what I
too.
want. I actually. Okay, all right. I think you're correct, but I'm going to think a little bit outside the box. I think it's Marrow.
Marrow.
Which
Marrow.
obviously we don't have yet, but I think as soon as Marrow is entered the game, I think Marrow's that last slot. Which I know. Sorry, I know I'm thinking outside. Like y'all are thinking of the cards that are going to be out with Weapon H's release, and that's fair. And I think at that point I like Proxima, but I'm also trying to think of like if this is a quintessential Weapon H deck. Give it, in 9 days after Weapon H comes out, according, I believe it is how long it is going to be, then we get Marrow. And I feel like I like the idea of Marrow also as a good target for being discarded and potentially a good way a good thing that Conchu can bring back.
I think Marrow's gonna be more a
It's a little fake
what's it
card, I
called?
think.
Morgan Le Fay card as well. Yeah. Because what it's
but
discarded
also-
or destroyed, or is it just
Yeah.
discarded?
It's hit discarded or destroyed. I don't hate what you're saying, Dance, like because it also is, a tech card that can inflict, -7, or
That's
maybe
the
not
reason,
tech,
a
but
tech
it's a
card.
card that it's an interactive card. At least
That's a better way. Yeah, it's an
Yes.
interactive card, and that's why I think I like the idea of it. Or I don't know.
I think
maybe
let's
I also-
slot in Proxima for now. I like the Grandmaster. My one thing I don't potentially like about Grandmaster is if Grandmaster does get Conchu'd back and it lands on a lane where you have maybe one of your other on reveals and it does something freaky, unless we're actually wanting it to potentially hit one of those on reveals. Like hitting a double Corvus at the end of the game wouldn't be horrible for a Morbius proc, or hitting a Gambit at the end of the game wouldn't be horrible to proc that again. I'm actually
It's gonna
kind
be-
of.
I just feel like it's a
I'm
lot
kind of
more
actually
narrow
going
on
back
Grandmaster.
into.
I think it's gonna be harder to do it because it's random.
I think to start it, I'd say Proxima.
Yeah.
That's probably where,
I
where
think-
my head would be at.
I think it's also fair because we're all at least agreeing on Proxima, especially for now. I still like the idea of throwing in Marrow in that slot instead as time will go on. But I think up until we don't have it yet. Whenever that does occur, I think that's going to be another good shout.
Let's do the classic H. That's what we got from the app today. All right. Sweet. We got our we got our established 12 for the build today, which I think probably consistency-wise, I think classic discard probably, and I'll say it, probably will do better than Black Knight in general for Weapon H, but I still will do testing with it to see, the general idea for it.
Nah, I don't believe it's going to do better. I don't believe it. Because personally, the reason I don't believe it is because I was watching my favorite weekly show, second favorite after the Marvel Yap, of course, The Buy or Bust, in which it's over on youtube.com/Tucker. He was talking about obviously some classic, Weapon H stuff, and he said all that. But listen, he called the deck Copium, but I think the deck's gonna be good. I think that as I punch my microphone, the Black Knight is going to be the truth, the way of life. I believe it's gonna be the answer. I hope. I've got the faith, the copium, the trust, a little bit of pixie dust, because that's youtube.com/@Tucker is the place to be. I trust everything that comes from there, and y'all should as well. So if you haven't already, y'all should go down below and hit the subscribe button. He's also over, of course, on the Twitches, on the Twitters, on the TikToks. He does it all. He's absolutely amazing. He uploads near daily. great stuff, great content, who I personally really enjoy as well as I get to actually do this with him. So if y'all want to enjoy it as well, go check it out. TUCC Tucker's got great stuff.
Yeah, I can confirm. I've been watching all the buy or bust lately. It's good content. Tucker's a great guy. I'm gonna continue the shout out here. Take the pass from Not My Dance. Shout out his Discord too. It's always chill, good vibes in there.
Ooh, good shout.
Yeah. Make sure. Make sure.
You guys are too nice.
That's also that's in the description as well. Would you look at that? It's so crazy, huh? Anyway, speaking of Marrow, listen, Marrow may not be the place here, but if we want to talk about where discard/destroy, they work together.
We got good old Marrow, which if you guys did not know, Marrow's not coming out this week, okay? But we wanted to talk with Cougarrr about this because, Dance and I like to build our own decks, but, Cougarrr also is a very great and avid deck builder, as we were talking about earlier, which Dance already shouted about, but I want you guys to just let you guys know he does spell his Twitch a little bit different than we have here on screen, just because Twitch, people just make a bunch of usernames all the time, so they stole Cougarr's identity. But it is actually not Cougarrr with just one O. It is Cougarrr with 2 O's and with 3 R's. So definitely when you're looking it up on Twitch, that is what it's going to be there.
Marrow's a good card, though. I think there's Wild Child as well. That's another one that we're talking about that's going to be kind of when discarded and destroyed a bit. Cares about both. And obviously, we're going to have Phantom X, who's coming out at the end of the season. We'll be able to talk about him a lot more, I think, at that point as well. But I think Wild Child's also releasing at the same time as Marrow, and that's next week on Thursday, I believe.
Yes, which Marrow is going to be in Snap Packs, and Wild Child is going to be in Team Clash, so just keep that in mind. And then Phantom X is the last Series 5 card that is releasing this season.
And so I have a question. Do you think, so one of the things I'm thinking about, obviously, if you're talking about ways everything combos together, like all these discard/destroys, and I don't know what the best thing is, and obviously y'all are going to give your opinions, but the very first thing I actually thought of was going to Dakin, because I think activating Bullseye is a very simple thing to do with being able to destroy a lot of stuff as well. Potentially even just simple things, again, with just using a Killmonger or I don't know, you can use that. There's a lot of littler things that I think you probably could use similarly. And I think Dakin, Bullseye, that type of stuff, because the Shard likes both, feels like another interesting way potentially to do it. I don't know what y'all are thinking in terms of like the key discard/destroy options, but that's currently where my brain is at.
Yeah, I think that's where my head goes to first, off of just pure enjoyment factor. For those of you who do watch me or watch Tucker, you'd be very familiar with the decks that people like me, him, and Iris have played, trying to get as many Dakins as possible and do the combo. So I think there it's really good. You run Killmonger in those decks. You have, worst case, if you're not destroying the shards, you have your 1-drops like Quinjet or Nico Minoru that you could hit, and then you're obviously the discard is your shard. As far as outside of that, I think there could be some interesting mid-rangey stuff where you're doing Gambit, Hood, Misery, and that's kind of your main core. You could throw maybe a Killmonger, add from that as you wish, but as the main center of what mid-range tries to do to fulfill both of these conditions.
Yeah, no, I think the mid-range deck is something I think I'm looking into. I think the Misery is an amazing shout, and I think even like the Misery for that destroy aspect, and having of course Morgan Le Fay and that style deck too to potentially get those cards back, as well as get the Marrow proc, and then I think you're also running something like a Black Cat in that deck too, just to get a free discard for, of course, not for this is of course setting up for the cards later on I'm talking about too, but I'm thinking Marrow fits into one of those style of that small ball kind of mid-range style shells. I think you're going to be playing this with a Phantom X. Of course, like I said, I'm jumping ahead here, especially with like that Bullseye interaction. I think Bullseye, Phantom X is something. Double activate cards, of course, is interesting. But I also think Marrow, maybe you do want to proc multiple times with a Morgan Le Fay, but even going one time is afflicting -7 power across the board, which is really nice. I think like in general, that's something you would want to do ideally with Hazmat. Of course, Hazmat quote unquote guarantees it hits every single card, whereas Marrow could hit the same card multiple times or all 7 times because it interacts more like a Cougarrr opposed to a Hazmat. I do think this card does have some really cool value, and I think as a Series 4 card, I do really like that because I think that makes it a little bit more accessible for people, and I'm glad that this is also coming out like at the same time as, you know, Wild Card, and setting this up towards the end of the season, opposed to we have one card at the very beginning of the season and then we don't get a new card till the very end, kind of like what happened with Zombie Scarlet Witch. I think being able to have time to just actually test and cook for this style of gameplay is going to be beneficial for the meta game and for deck building purposes, having, you know, more bits and pieces to start with opposed to completely spread out, which I know I kind of like rambled all over the place there, but that's kind of like just what came to mind.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. On my ramble, I was also jumping ahead a little bit to talking about the discard and destroy synergy.
Yeah.
But to rein it back in a little bit to Marrow,
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here listening to Tucker talk, and I'm reading the card, and I saw a really cool deck by my alliance leader, my clanmate Roram or Pixel Guy. He had a Morgan Le Fay deck, Morgan Le Fay Dormammu high Evo A-bomb deck that looked really cool. And I'm sitting here, just that deck popped into my brain when I read the text on Marrow to split -7 across all enemy cards. I think that deck might have been running, it was running Wasp or Scorpion or something like that. I think it'd be very easy, just slot out the Scorpion, put in this Marrow. It's super synergistic with everything you want to do in that list, specifically with a higher upside. So I'm excited to test it there.
So I was actually talking with him at one point about that pile of cards, and it was what is it? I think we were cooking it together. I can't take credit because he's done better with it and messed with it. But one of the things that we did say with that pile of cards is we had a slot, which I think we put in the end. I think we just put Red Guardian in because it's just a good tech card. But if you took out Red Guardian, what we said is we would want to throw Marrow in there, I believe. I might be incorrect, as you know, opinions may have changed as more time has gone in the deck. But yes, 100%, that's exactly a place where we'd love to be able to do this, because I mean, the -6 isn't, again, it's not just here, which is such a big deal about this card. It's anywhere on the board. And if you can bring it back, somehow doing it multiple times, or even just getting it once, again, it's a 2 potential 10. That's a big deal.
Yeah, no, great shout. I think I had forgotten about that Dormammu deck, and I think more affliction in that Dormammu style, because you also have the second summoning skill with Marrow, and then also being able to potentially bring that back with the Morgan Le Fay gives you a lot of really cool options, especially with this being a 2-cost. It is something you could destroy one time, and then bring back, and then destroy it potentially again to use to summon Dormammu. I think that's going to be pretty impactful. I mean, of course, then at that point, I mean, it's a 2/3 to 2/10. You have to play it again, so then it's essentially a 4/17. I think that seems pretty good for the most part. 4/17.
It helps. It's actually a 4. It would be even more because it gets the +3 each time.
Yeah, but you're destroying it still to get that. But
true.
You're also potentially summoning Dormammu, so you have that power afflicting.
Exactly.
Locking in with Venom.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff there. It's really cool. So a different part of this like discard and destroy stuff, and I actually think it's less so personally with Marrow, but especially if we talk about Wild Child, is when you're looking at these cards, right? When you want to do the discards and destroys both in the same time, potentially. What do you think? It's just like you mentioned, a Black Cat, where it's one discard and then it's destroy, or do you think that you can do 50-50, or is it a singular destroy card? What does that look like in y'all's opinion?
That's a good question. Like, kind of what the minimum package is to be able to enable it. I think, honestly, there'll be 2 differing ones depending on if you're going to run only Wild Child or if you're going to run Wild Child and Phantom X. I think if you're just running Wild Child, you probably only need one way to do each, is my take. To where if you're doing Phantom X, you might want 2 ways of doing each.
I don't think Phantom X, by the way, works in that. Sorry to cut you off. I'll go back to it. But I'm saying I don't think Phantom X is going to work in the Dormammu specific style, even though it does feel like it'd be cool and interesting. It is it's just a very big card to ask a lot of.
Yeah, no.
I agree with that sentiment. Yeah. Yeah, I think these decks will be kind of a little bit separate from the Marrow decks. Or if they are together, it's not going to be the the Afflict build that we just talked up. But yeah, I think the floor on this card is just a 2/5, and the upside is a 2/9. I think Wild Child's going to be very simple and a very strong card.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Which
it's
deck building wise, it's similar in a sense to not Chamber's ceiling, right? But Chamber, you're like at a 2/9, you're like, this is cool. And I think we're implementing a lot more of these 2-cost cards this season, which 2-cost cards in general snap are just crazy, right? But like 2-cost cards that like I need to have 1, maybe 2, and I think for Wild Child, I think you hit it right in the head there too, Cougarrr. I think like for Wild Child, you maybe only need 1. And I think this is one of each, right? This is one of those like is not necessarily going to go in the Marrow deck. It could go into an iteration of it, but I think the Marrow deck is going to be way different than a Wild Child Phantom X deck, just because Marrow only has to be either or, opposed to get maximum value from Wild Child, you have to do both. And in order just to even proc Phantom X, you have to do both. You have to do a discard and a destroy to get that going. So I think that's definitely going to be some of the differentiation there. But I think Black Cat's probably going to be an MVP for potentially like a Wild Child, and for like a Phantom X just for an immediate enabler for like simple. For like the simple, I'm going to do a quick build. This may not be the best build, but if I just want to do a quick build, that's going to proc maybe every game, maybe not every game, every other game kind of situation. That's what you would do, opposed to I want consistency, I'm probably going to run some other stuff.
So I think another card that's going to do potentially something similar to what we're already talking about, right? With the, there's 2 other cards. I think one of them's a lot better, and it's going to be very easy, I think, to work with this. The other one that's going to be a lot worse, I'm going to talk about that one first. I think a Tuma has a real chance because you don't need to do anything other than put another card there.
Yeah.
And that's it. So I think a Tuma might be an interesting way to try to use this destroyed/discard stuff. That feels like a lot of fun. It feels more interesting, feels pretty fun. I don't know if it's going to be good because the other thing I also see as an immediate answer, again, would just be like a Luna Snow, because you just can destroy the ice cube.
Yeah.
Luna Snow's a really good shout.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
I feel like those are going to be some fun ones.
Yeah, I think Luna Snow, Hood Misery, and then like a Killmonger or Gambit. I think those are all like the easiest ways, probably the most efficient ways to enable this. I am interested in what other discard options there could be, because like out of those I just listed, there's only Gambit. So I wonder if even there could be like an oddball deck that runs a Moon Knight or something like that uses this Wild Child, where it used to run Fenris Wolf at the 2 slot for power.
Yeah, there's that, and also X-23 and Wolverine are also 2 cards that can be destroyed or discarded to get value, which also could be in one of these potential hybrid style decks, hypothetically speaking.
I have a deck that will, whenever we actually talk about Phantom X, I'll show a thing, because I've been cooking it in the background trying to figure out the correct stuff. But there's been a deck, to prelude, there's been a deck that's been kind of going around a little bit that I've had a blast with. It's not good. But when I was out of town, it's not good in the slightest. But when I was out of town, like on long drives or whatever, I'd play where it's activating Kid Omega a bunch of times getting a bunch of points. With Weapon X and Wolverine and stuff like that. So what could you do with a similar style of deck where you also can try to go with Bullseye, or even try to do Hellcow and Phantom X and all of those things at the same time? Potentially feel like a very interesting idea.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at.
I've ran into this one time. I played a Conquest match. I was trying to cook up some new discard deck, but I ended up queuing into somebody that was playing like the small ball Bullseye discard, but I don't remember what exact cuts they made, but they were running a full-on activate combo version of it, where they had Frigga, they had Yocasta, they had Prodigy, and they were trying to do Collector and Morbius and Meek and scale them to the moon by doing like 8 procs on the Bullseye and afflicting your hand so much there. So I think this card could make a dent in that specific activate style of scaling discard deck.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to figure out how to
Feels-
destroy, though. I don't know what destroys that would have.
I think if you go with the activate, you could do Kid Omega. That's about it. Feels like an easier one.
That's true. Kid Omega, Wolf, something like that. You could splash that package in there, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That'd be
You can do Kid Omega.
interesting.
I have no idea how it would work exactly. You could go Kid Omega, try to go with, I don't know. It'd be weird.
Oh, the Luna Snow. Luna Snow to
that's what you
ramp
would
you
do.
into that, yeah.
Oh, that's it. That's it. Yeah, it would be Luna Snow. That's it. That would be the answer.
Yep.
I'm gonna go back to the thing we said forever ago. Sorry, this side point. I remember there was a bug for a bit where Colonel America didn't count if the card was actually not discard, like if it didn't end up in the discard pile, and if it went back to hand or whatever.
It should
I don't know
work
if it's
now.
gonna be a thing
It
with
does,
Weapon
It does
Age.
work now.
It does work now. Okay, cool. As
Yeah.
long as it works now. I was sorry. I just thought about that because I was thinking about the different weird piles of cards, and then I thought about that one. I was like, oh no, if that doesn't work, I'm gonna be
No,
sad.
I believe it does work because I remember when I was playing like with Apocalypse and stuff. Like Apocalypse still worked with Colonel,
I think
which
it didn't
like
work with Proxima, maybe.
well, I haven't ran Proxima in a minute, so maybe that's why I also didn't want to auto
Let us know
include.
in advance.
That's why I didn't auto include Proxima, I think, in the discard deck earlier. But like, you know what I would auto include, guys, in pretty much any single day of my week, right? It would be watching one of Dance's YouTube videos on his YouTube channel, because this man has some absolutely fantastic Marvel Snap content. Whether it is breaking down the OTA so you don't have to read the cards, he will read them off for you, as well as provide you guys with some additional deck guides for those cards, as well as new cards releasing that week. Those will be down in the description below, which is Dance's YouTube channel. And if you want to catch that content live, he also does stream that also on Twitch, as well as some great variety gameplay. He does priority. He does mainly play primarily Marvel Snap on Twitch,
that's
but
the
he
word.
also does post his decks on Twitter too. If you guys want to check that out, all of those links will be down in the description below. If you guys want some high quality Marvel Snap content, good vibes, lots of yapping, of course, but overall great and descriptive content there on Dance's channel. But yeah, I think this card is going to be very interesting. I think you have to destroy and discard in order to be able to activate is something that makes this a little bit more difficult to build around, which is, you know, a lot of these 4/6s that we've been getting, whether it was Spider-Man Noir last season has a challenge. Now you have Phantom X that has a challenge, which is potentially a bit harder than Spider-Man Noir's challenge last season. Not to mention that this week, if you are probably attempting to do Phantom X stuff, people are going to be playing Luke Cage, because every time a new general affliction card, not Spider-Punk, because with Spider-Punk you didn't see a spike with Luke Cage because Spider-Punk was like kind of more of a single lane. Phantom X being every single lane the front card gets hit. That's when people are like, well, I guess I have to run Luke Cage, even though this is like one of the hardest things potentially for someone to be able to hit to get the value on Phantom X. You know, like, I think people are still going to probably run Luke Cage. So first week is going to be rough for Phantom X. But I think using first week just to establish what type of decks you want to run with this card, I think is going to be very important to help for some of those later weeks. Whether that is, you know, having just an all-activate deck where you have Jocasta, you have, you know, Kid Omega, Luna Snow. Luna Snow is one of the best shouts, I think, for Wild Child and for Phantom X as just an immediate destroyed card to be able to proc. And also, it can be discarded and destroyed on the same turn you want to activate Phantom X. Just Phantom X has to be the last card you activate. Keep that in mind. And then also with Wild Child, the benefit that Wild Child has is it is ongoing. So you can draw that card whenever you want in the game and be able to get value, which I think that is really great. And with it being ongoing as well, if you do run something like Ravonna, it still looks at its base power as a 1 base power, so it will continue to be able to be discounted, even though the ongoing power will be more than just like 1 or 0.
And I think another play order thing I want to note here is if you're playing a deck that has Gambit to activate this, that is for the final turn. Don't be
Yes.
curving out turn 3 Gambits and ruining your combo. I know that's a common mistake that can get made in these mid-rangey decks that are like, oh, why is there a Gambit in here? Save it. It's last turn only, pretty much. I mean, there's always circumstances, but 90% of the time.
Yeah.
On a real note, I think for the other bits, I actually would say, and I hope they do it. They haven't done it, but I would love it, especially we talked about earlier during the OTA with Airwalker kind of being deceased, basically. I'd love it if Airwalker had when discarded or destroyed. Because then if it's when discarded, it goes back into your hand. If it's when destroyed, it's like you just replace it is the answer. It just says replace, I believe, with it.
And
so
Fire Lord looks at both discarded or destroyed too.
Exactly.
So.
That's the point. So like if Fire Lord works with both, then maybe that should be as well. And that could also give you some potential consistency with Phantom X. I have no idea if that would happen. But if that occurs, that is probably the #1 shout for a synergy, I think, as well with Phantom X. Obviously, I think Lunar Snow's good. But I like the idea of being able to use Airwalker there as well.
Just randomly, like Airwalker. It's interesting that Airwalker discard. Like, are you thinking Airwalker discard would make that 4 cost go to hand? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, it's replace. So where like basically, if it for some reason, even if you discard it from left your hand, it just replace it. So it's wherever it was. Replace it in that location in your hand, wherever it was with the other card.
That would be really, really neat.
Yeah,
honestly, I would like if they made that change. I don't know how much how much better it'd make it be, but that's really cool.
Yeah,
it just adds. It does the exact same functionality that Fire Lord has, basically, which is you just let them really mirror each other. As I think that was a big point of it when they were doing that stuff.
Just the in hand would be like a rework, and it'll be like I think one of the maybe first times we've had like a swap in hand kind of situation from like especially for discard. I mean, with red shift, you do discard the card, and then you it goes to the right, and you get the new 6-drop. But I wonder if that is something they could do as like a targeted.
Closest thing would be the pig.
Spider Ham transforms.
That would be the closest.
Or like Jane pulling something out of deck and into your hand. That's kind of another comp.
Jane Foster.
Oh, Jane Foster. For some reason, I'm thinking. Oh yeah, Jane, not Jean Grey. I was thinking Jean Grey. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. No, that's I have no. That's not saying they will. But if that was something they did, that feels like I think Phantom X gets a lot. Like Phantom X is already interesting. It's also I think fixes my biggest issue. I think with the OTA. Which, I don't know, kind of pulling everything back together that we've talked about during the entire YAP as a final note. I think that would be it would be interesting for this discard/destroy type of deck. It would also be really cool just as a way to rebalance some of the stuff via the OTA, and kind of just feels like it just kind of makes sense as a change. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the takeaway from our OTA section is that we're really big on when they make changes like that just makes sense. Like instead of just doing +1 -1s, it feels a whole world of a lot better, and the meta shakes up more. People are experimenting.
Yeah.
So, not to rehash too much, but
one or more just completely big card reworks every single OTA, please.
I think we could want that, but that is, I do truly think that is unrealistic, but I also do want that. I think both.
Yes.
But I also don't want the ones that feel like they were kind of like easy bake oven and we had them ready for a bit.
Yeah. It doesn't even have to be a huge rework. Like what the only rework they had really was the only text change they had was to Spider-Man Noir.
Yep.
And even if you cut that out of the OTA, it's still a banger with changing the the War Machine the way they did.
Yep.
And experimenting with the cost and power of Morgan Le Fay. Like it's still all around a really good OTA, even if you take that away. But yeah, whenever they do that, those are always the highlights.
Yep. They just need to change Jean Grey in this next OTA, and then. I mean, we're
Storm.
in X-Men season. Yeah, Jean Grey, Storm. Change a bunch of different X-Men cards. Professor X, Professor X, Jean Grey. Just add some of those, some flavor to the X-Men season.
I truly ask Storm takes a bit. I don't want Storm to be done yet. I would rather Storm I'd rather them take it time to get it right if they do a big change with Storm. So I'm saying
as long as they took with Kang or
Kang. I don't know. I don't know, honestly, but I'll take the OTA, the stuff that we enjoyed as a highlight. And Cougarrr, thank you for being on here as well today, as you were an absolute highlight for our time as well.
Oh, thank you guys for having me. I was more than honored to be offered the spot on the podcast. Said yes immediately. It was a blast. Great talking to you guys, and I hope all the viewers at home enjoyed it.
Yeah, and they better follow you, or else we'll find them all. We'll find them all. But if you guys did make it to the end of the, if you guys did make it to the end of the video, let us know down below using the word funny because funny number today
Funny number.
for today's Yap. So let us know. And also, let us know down below how many of you guys have played a Cougarrr deck, because we do post a lot of Cougarrr decks on the channel over here, and man makes some very high quality decks and content himself. And he said he's going to be streaming every single day for this next month. So definitely keep that in mind, and you can quote him on that.
Cougarrr down below on Twitch.
Yep.
Links down there.
But thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great rest of your guys' week. Hope you guys get Weapon H. Good wealth of your guys' week. Hope you guys get Weapon H within one pull. Or if you guys want to spend tokens, or if you guys aren't planning on getting Weapon H, I think it's going to be a solid card. So yeah, but I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. It's been real. God bless, and laters.